Have you ever been really embarrassed in your life? I mean, red-faced. Everybody can think of those moments when you just wonder how you got in this situation. And, well, maybe people not as extreme as I had way back in the summer of 1974. It was a lovely summer that year. And my friend and I would hang out together, and he bought himself a push moped from the 1970s because neither of us could afford a car because we spent our all our money on chemical alteration processes and alcohol. But he managed to scrape up enough money for the moped. So we used to hang out in Pointe Claire, Quebec, Montreal. We used to hang out at this old barn of a place called the Maples Inn. And it was, I think it's long burned down by now, but it was quite an amazing place. It was where all the groovy and hip people hung out. Anyway, you would go down there and there'd be all kinds of business activity going on everywhere. And since it was run by sort of questionable corporations, you would get if it was going to be raided, they knew ahead of time and would tell you, hey, no supermarket tonight. I remember these skies with stars that you could actually see and reach out and touch. But it was probably to do with the chemical alteration process that we were involved in on this particular evening. So, this big old barn of a place, the Maples Inn, we began combining alcohol with our usual medications, and, well, things got a little bit crazy, as they are wont to do when you're 18 years old and you haven't had a lot of life experience. I was about to have the most embarrassing experience of my life, but I did not know it. My friend, ex-friend I guess, long deceased, bet me $50, 50 Canadian bucks, which at the time was a lot of money. It was like half a week's salary from our shitty menial jobs that we were both doing at the time. Oh, shut up out there. Okay, it's quiet again. I can continue. Thank you very much. Vehicles driving at 3 in the morning in front of my house. Can't I get a moment's peace? Where was I? Yes, so he offered me a bet of $50 that I could take all my clothes off and ride the moped naked. And don't forget, he was gonna be fully clothed on the back, on the rack of this moped. I don't know how many horsepower it had, but it wasn't very much. So I'm going easy $50. Of course, the chemical alteration project had messed with my brain considerably, and that kind of reasoning is out the window because everything just looks so cool and groovy, and everything's hilarious. It's just everything was so funny at the time. So I said, sure, $50, no problem. Doff my clothes and we hop on the moped and set off for my home a few blocks away. So off we go, and we're laughing hysterically, as one can only laugh when one's in kind of a strange universe that's mostly within your subconscious mind but is flowing out as reality. So we're laughing our asses off, going a couple of blocks past this person that's sitting on this porch, some old lady, and we're howling. We thought it was just hilarious, but we thought it was 3 o'clock. It was closing time at the Mapes, so nobody was on the streets or anything, so we didn't have to worry about it. Little did I know what fate had in store for old Veg. We were almost at my house. I was gunning that little moped and thinking, I've done it, I'm home free. We had this little pathway that led up to my parents' house where I was living at the time. I think they were off on vacation or something, so I was a little wild in those days at 18 years old. But who of us wasn't? Anyway, I'm getting close to the house and I'm going, I'm gonna make it $50, 50 Canadian dollars. That was a lot of money. So I'm delighted, but we're laughing and laughing so hard. I said, we're having so much fun, I'm gonna take another trip around the block. Just really quick trip around the block. Yes, that was a fateful mistake that still bothers me to this day, although I wouldn't have this story to tell had it not happened. So here I am, butt-ass naked, and driving this moped, and I drive right into a cop car. Well, my friend jumped off the back and ran away. He escaped the scene of the crime, but not me. No, they were looking at me, these cops, and they weren't horrible cops, but they decided to have a laugh. So I said, look, I'm sorry, we were having fun and we were just being silly, and can you let me put my clothes on? They wouldn't let me put my clothes on. They put me in the back of the squad car and took me down to the station. So into the station I go, butt naked, and every cop in the building is laughing his ass off and speaking in French, and I had a rudimentary knowledge of the French language, but it wasn't really good. But I knew what I was listening to was humiliating, and I was sitting there and going, this isn't really happening because all the colors and everything around them, this must be a dream, it's horrible. Well, it wasn't a dream. It was all too real. Anyway, after a half hour of this humiliation, they charged me with being nude in a public place and let me go. Let me put on my clothes finally, and even let me take the moped. They weren't horrible cops. So anyway, a couple of weeks later, I had a court date. And of course, that's always nerve-wracking if you walk into the courtroom and the judge is way up there, and it's all designed architecturally to intimidate you. But there were all these people that were just, paying fines, and you were charged with running a red light, and somebody would contest it, and this went on for about half an hour. You are charged with running a stop sign, and nothing serious, right? It was like just little stuff. And this crazy old judge up there, this French Canadian guy that was like, I don't really like English people, but I will be their judge. So anyway, yes, I lived in the English ghetto of Montreal, which was what Point Claire was determined to be by somebody, I don't remember who. So all these people, and they call my name, and he says, you're charged with being nude in a public place. Well, of course the entire courtroom burst into laughter, and this old French Canadian judge admonished me. Of course, I had substituted the mind-altering substances and said that I had a few too many drinks. Of course, in Quebec, that was sort of acceptable, even if you were riding a moped drunk. It was like, it's okay, you're drunk. So anyway, I got a $50 fine. And wouldn't you know it, my friend would not give me the $50 because I had not made it to my house. So in the end, the most humiliating and embarrassing experience that I ever had cost me $50. So let this be a cautionary tale for you out there. If you ever find yourself in a chemically alterated state, then I would recommend you sit down and say Om. And just if you laugh too hard, just remember, you won't be laughing tomorrow. Well, you might be, or you might be laughing 50 years later like I am now. Peace, everybody. Be well, and I will talk to you next week. And I'm hoping that this video will hook you and make you want to leave a comment. Leave your most embarrassing experience in the comments below, and I will read the best of them, you lucky person. Here from Armpit Studio in London, Ontario, I will read your comments and dramatize them on the air for you. So tell me your most embarrassing moment in your life. And I doubt any of you can top that story, but who knows? The world is full of strangeness. Good night.